Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about a huge shift that's been happening in the world of web development, and it's all about how we manage state. For years, one tool pretty much ran the show, but believe me, that landscape is changing and it's changing fast. So let's just get right to it. Is the king actually being dethroned? We're going to dig into why so many developers are moving beyond Redux. It really feels like a changing of the guard for state management. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll take a look back at the reign of Redux. Then we'll get into the big issue, the boilerplate problem. After that, we'll meet the new kids on the block, this new generation of tools, and we'll unpack their whole philosophy. And finally, we'll tackle the big one. What should you actually be using today? Okay, let's kick things off with the one, the only, the former heavyweight champion of state management. For the longest time, if you were building a really large-scale application, Redux wasn't just an answer. It was the answer. It brought this incredible sense of order to the chaos of application state, all with a predictable, single source of truth. And at the time, that was absolutely revolutionary. And look, its popularity was totally deserved. It gave you this wonderfully predictable state container, a single centralized store that made debugging so much easier. And its dev tools, let's be honest, they were and they still are fantastic. On top of all that, the middleware ecosystem let you handle pretty much anything you could throw at it, from API calls to logging, you name it. But you know how it goes. As our apps and the way we develop them started to evolve, some cracks began to appear in Redux's armor. And this brings us right to the core issue, the boilerplate problem. This piece of developer feedback just captures the feeling perfectly. For really simple state changes, the whole Redux ceremony just felt excessive. We're talking multiple files, a whole lot of code, just for one tiny little thing. And this slide right here makes the problem crystal clear. I mean, look at the Redux way on the left. It's a whole process. You have to define your action type, create an action creator, write the reducer logic, dispatch the action. Phew. And then you look over on the right at the modern approach, you call a function, and the new state is set. That's it. The difference in the developer experience is just night and day. So all that frustration with boilerplate, well, it really paved the way for a whole new generation of tools. They were a direct response to Redux's complexity. Now, what's really interesting here is that there isn't just one single successor to Redux. Instead, what we're seeing is a bunch of different philosophies emerging. You've got atomic state, which honestly feels a lot like using React's useState hook, but on a global scale. Then you have these proxy-based tools where you just mutate an object and your UI reacts. It's really cool. And of course, you have tons of developers just leveraging React's own context API for a more native feel. And all of these new approaches, they're really united by a shared philosophy. It's all about a big move towards simplicity, being pragmatic, and finding power in a totally different way. This modern mindset really starts with using the simplest tool possible. It's about embracing directness and cutting out all that ceremonial code. It integrates deeply with modern features like hooks, and it really encourages you to keep your state close to the components that actually use it, instead of having everything in one giant global store. And this isn't just a vibe, The data really shows a clear shift. You can see how dominant Redux was, but then you see this projected decline in preference. At the same time, you see developers really favoring native solutions like the Context API or this whole ecosystem of other modern libraries. So this all leads us to the final, really practical question. In this new world with so many options, how do you choose the right tool for your project? Well, here it is. The new best practice is that there is no single best practice. That's right, the era of a one-size-fits-all solution is over. Now it's all about picking the right tool for the job. So instead of just reaching for the most popular library of the week, you need to ask yourself these key questions. How big is your project going to get? What does your team already know and feel comfortable with? How complex is your state, really? And do you have any specific performance needs to worry about? The answers to these questions will guide you to the right solution for you. So we'll leave you with this one final thought. Our tools, they don't just help us build things. They fundamentally shape how we think about building them. As we move into this new era that's all about simplicity and being pragmatic, the really exciting question is, how will this change the very nature of the applications we all create in the future?